Some major cities are predicted to be coming into some hard times in 2024. I'm going to tell you which ones in this video. Every city, every state eventually runs through a rough patch. If you can help it, don't be there when it happens. If you're planning to move to one of these cities and maybe buy some real estate, do your research before you start calling realtors. Since the pandemic, things have changed. Some cities took on an enormous amount of debt, while others already had some serious debt hovering over their heads, and things just got worse during the pandemic, and now things are coming due. Now, this is along with the same problems most of these cities have had since forever. A lot of them have gotten worse since the pandemic. That has to do with budget cuts and things of that nature usually create more problems. In this video, we will tell you which cities are going downhill in 2024 and why we think they are. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I'm going to start off right away by saying Pittsburgh's not that bad of a city. For a major city, it's actually doing pretty good. They've got some crime, but it's not nearly as bad as some of the other cities in this region of the United States. If you look at things like their traffic compared to other major cities, it's not that bad. Their housing costs are reasonable. Their cost of living's reasonable. Plenty of things to do. Where the problem is for Pittsburgh is what's going to happen in the near future. It's debt. Pittsburgh's carrying some pretty serious debt right now. Now, different studies have different numbers, but officially what the city of Pittsburgh has to say is they have about $382 million in debt. It's a lot of debt. Other organizations and other people have done reports on it, say it's over 500,000 and under $1 billion, somewhere in that range. It depends on how you look at it. It's a whole big mess that we don't need to get into, but they have a lot of debt is what it breaks down to. Now here's where it gets interesting and not in a good way. To get out of the financial mess and to cover the massive debt, the burden falls on the shoulders of Pittsburgh's taxpayers. That means each person living in the city of Pittsburgh would have to come up with about $14,000 to pay down the debt. Obviously, that's not how they do it. They don't go door to door and go, hey, we need your $14,000. We got this big debt to pay down. They do it in the form of taxes. They start looking for inventive ways to give you new taxes. So in my opinion, I think this is going to start driving people out of the city and maybe businesses. So in a nutshell, the decisions made by elected officials in Pittsburgh combined with the challenges of the pandemic have left Pittsburgh in a real financial bind. It's going to take some serious effort and teamwork to turn things around and make sure that the Steel City gets back on track. One other problem is it's a very old city as far as the residents go. 21% of their population is over the age of 65. The national average is around 14%. Right now, the average home value in Pittsburgh is about $225,000. Because of typical prices going up and possible taxes, it's going to get worse. Well, last year alone, the average home value grew by 2.3%, and it's predicted to climb another 3.1% in 2024. Which is great if you're selling a house, but if you're trying to move into the area, it's not so great. Number 9, Miami, Florida. Miami's a strange city. It depends on the decade, but they've had incredibly good decades and incredibly bad decades. Seems like they go like one or two great decades, then all of a sudden they just fall apart for one, and then they get back on track. Right now, I think they're somewhere in the middle. Their crime is, it's okay. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not the greatest. Their housing is a little too expensive, their employment numbers aren't great, and the cost of living is pretty darn high. But they have beautiful beaches, and that makes it okay sometimes. The Magic City owes nearly $2 billion in unfunded pension and healthcare benefits. That's what one study said. Another one said it was closer to like $1.3 billion. Either way, that's a lot of money. Now, there's several different pension funds going on in this city. The police and firefighters pension actually made money in 2021 and 2022, so that's a plus. In case you don't know, the money that they have set aside for pensions, they invest in different things, and sometimes it pays off pretty good. I also read another article that said it wasn't as good as they made it sound, but who knows? Either way, Miami owes a lot of money. Again, it's about $14,000 per resident would cover the debt. If things don't break Miami's way here in the next year or two, they're going to have another down decade filled with debt and rising crime, because as soon as you have debt, you start having budget problems. Then they start cutting funding to schools and cutting funding to the police and the fire, and then that creates more problems. So there's a potential here for Miami to hit a pretty serious rough patch. One of the biggest problems I think they have is how fast their home values are rising. The average home value right now, second quarter 2023, is $568,000. That's the average home value, okay? It goes way up. I'm on Zillow right now looking at a condo, 3-bedroom condo, 6 baths. I don't know why you need 2 for every bedroom, but they got 6 baths. It's going for $8 million. Great view. Over the last year, home prices in Miami have gone up 5.1%. In 2024, it's predicted to climb another 6.7%. Number 8, Dallas, Texas. I think Dallas's biggest problem right now going forward is its own success. They've done a lot of right things for a lot of years, which meant more people moved in there, more businesses. Well, now they've got to build the infrastructure to support all this. That's going to take tax dollars. When you look at the fiscal stability of Dallas, they only have $3.2 billion of assets available to pay bills totaling $8.8 billion. Because Dallas doesn't have enough money to pay the bills, it's in a $5.6 billion hole. To erase this shortfall, each Dallas taxpayer again would have to send the city $14,700. That'll get them out of debt, but that'll put about half the residents in some serious debt. Now, those numbers are according to the Dallas City Hall from their website. I was just in Dallas 3 weeks ago, a month ago, something like that, and it is nothing but construction all over the place. And there's the typical construction where they're building high rises here, there, new housing areas, whatever. But where the money comes from that's hurting Dallas is all the road work they're doing. They're interstate everywhere, from Frisco, Texas to Plano down to Irving. Every place had major road construction going on the freeways. And that's something they need. A lot of the complaints coming out of Dallas is the traffic. Too many people moved in there in a short amount of time. And like I always say, more people means more problems. Now, the good news, if you want to move there, their real estate's pretty affordable. The average home value is about $306,000, which is good. That's down 0.09% from last year, and then it's expected to drop another 1% in 2024. So that's good news. It's just the debt and the infrastructure they need to build is going to put them in a tight bind, and they're going to be going downhill in the next couple of years. 2024, 2025, they'll probably recover by 26 or 27. Basically, they're trying to invest in their future, and it's costing them some money. Number 7, St. Louis, Missouri. The gateway to the West is carrying some debt as well. Unlike Dallas, people aren't flooding into this area, so their tax base isn't going up nearly as fast as it needs to be. They've got too much crime. They've got too many vacant commercial buildings. Whole warehouse areas have sat vacant for a decade. The future looks kind of bleak, especially when you look at the unbudgeted $654 million in healthcare for retirees and entitlements for city workers that are coming due. To fix this, they got to find a way to squeeze $18,000 out of each St. Louis resident. It's a really rough situation to be in when you got high crime and you don't have enough money to hire enough police to fix the problem. It's not like St. Louis is already like the little gem on the prairie. The place blows and it's about to get worse. The only positive thing is it's affordable and their housing's pretty cheap. The average home value here is $170,000. That's up 5.7% from last year. That's saying something. If you're up almost 6% and you still haven't crested 200,000, you're doing something right or something very wrong to the point where nobody wants to live here. Now, it's expected that they'll go up another 2.4% in 2024. Then along with all the new taxes they're going to have to bring forth to pay down their debt, oh yeah, things are looking great in St. Louis. Number 6, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Look at that. Pennsylvania gets 2 on one list. Philadelphia is a wonderful city with amazing history. It's just got Kensington and a couple other places. If you want to have some fun, just go to Street View on Google and look at the Kensington neighborhood in Philadelphia. They got a lot of freaky people wandering the streets there that have just done so much damage to themselves over the years because of substance abuse that they sort of look like that bar from Star Wars, or at least where all the extras hang out from the show The Walking Dead. It's not good. Now, Philadelphia has been doing a little bit better since the pandemic, but that's all going to come to a screeching halt, I think. Philadelphia has almost a $12 billion deficit. And if they want to pay that down, they got to squeeze about $22,000 out of each Philadelphia resident. It could be a lot worse, but they do have a little money. Actually, it's $19.5 billion in bills is what Philadelphia has right now, but they also have $7.6 billion in assets. So that breaks down to almost $12 billion. Now, if they didn't have those assets, it could be so much worse. The good news, this is an affordable place to buy a house. If you'd want to buy a house there, that's a different story. The average home value here is about $216,000. That is down 2.7% from last year. In 2024, it's expected to drop another 2%. So it's getting cheaper. Still not worth it. Number 5, Chicago, Illinois. Chicago is one of the most in-debt cities here in the United States. It's in bad shape. Like we've already learned, as soon as a city or a state goes into more debt, they start cutting back on services. Chicago really can't afford to cut back on services, but at the same time, they can't afford to pay their bills. So what's gonna give? According to IllinoisPolicy.org, Chicago has about $10 billion in assets to pay down their almost $50 billion in debt. That means Chicago's debt per taxpayer is almost $42,000, meaning, if they wanted to pay it down this year, everyone would have to fork over $42,000. Obviously, that's not going to happen. I'm just telling you how much it would be if they could do that. And it's just getting more expensive there. The average home in Chicago, now keep in mind, downtown and in the Loop area, it is extremely expensive, and a lot of places are really, really nice. They just have a lot of areas where it is completely run down, where most of the crime goes on, and that's why their median home value or their average home value is so inexpensive for a major city. The average home value in Chicago is $287,000. That's second quarter 2023. That's up 0.5% from the year before, and in 2024 it's expected to climb another 1.5%. So even though they got a lot of problems on the horizon, and they've always had problems, they got some debt issues and some raising of the taxes that need to be done that are really going to make it not really a pleasant place to live for a while. Number 4, New Orleans. The Big Easy is graded an F for fiscal stability, meaning they don't have much stability in their fiscals. Is fiscals a word? I don't know if fiscal could be plural. Anyway, besides all the problems that New Orleans has with its crime and its poverty and their infrastructure just sucking, their roads are probably the worst roads I've ever driven on in a major city. I've been in war-torn countries that have better roads than New Orleans. Now, the problems to New Orleans are not new. In the past, city officials have been guilty of underfunding pension entitlements and reneging on retirement healthcare pledges. Moreover, the city is one of many cities that submitted their fiscal report late, which made the situation worse because they didn't get the funds they needed when they needed them. Currently, New Orleans has about $860 million in assets. That's great. $860 million in assets is a lot. It's just too bad they have $3.2 billion in debt. I'm no math genius, but I think New Orleans is in a $2.3 billion financial hole. That would mean if you wanted to pay down this debt, every single tax-paying citizen would have to fork over about $22,800. They come to collect, you're fishing around your couch cushions. At least their real estate's pretty cheap. The average home value in the Big Easy is $256,000. Now that's down 8% from last year, and in 2024, they're expected to lose another 6%. When you start seeing drops in the market like that, you know the city's in trouble. Number 3, Portland, Oregon. Yeah, it kind of sucks. Kind of sucked for a long time. They got a lot of problems and not near enough money to pay for those problems. According to Data C, Portland only has $1.8 billion in assets available to pay bills totaling $7 billion. So they're in a Crater Lake-sized fiscal hole of $5.2 billion. Now, if they wanted to pay this overnight, they would have to come knock on everyone's door and collect $23,400 each. Now, we just did a video recently. If you watch that, I'm going to be giving you the numbers again for what's going on in real estate here in Portland. The average home value is about $528,000, and that is down 4.7% from last year, and it is predicted to drop another 3%. Portland is expensive, Portland is in debt, and they have plenty of homeless to go around. Number 2, New York City. New York City is huge. They got a lot of area. They got a lot of people. So you know they're doling out a whole bunch of money every single year. And that has put them in a pretty deep hole. A lot of people think New York City is heading towards a financial cliff that's going to take a lot for them to recover from. It's just too big. You can't have cities that big without running into some financial problems. The situation that they're in now is sort of mild compared to what they're predicting by 2027. Right now, they say that the debt in New York City City is about $170 billion. By 2027, they think that's going to balloon to almost $203 billion. And they go through this typical cycle. They're going to start cutting back on services and they're going to start raising taxes. Maybe they need a giant garage sale. That'll pull them out of it. So New York City is definitely going downhill, probably for the foreseeable future. If you want to move there, buy a home in New York City, it's expensive. The average home value is $826,000. That is down 2.4% from last year, and they estimate that next year, 2024, will drop another 2%. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There's a link for that down below. We would love it if you went over and subscribed, watch some videos, be our friend. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Honolulu, Hawaii. Okay, I'm a little surprised by this one. I knew it was expensive and I expect the residents to be in debt. I didn't know the city was going under too. Honolulu, Hawaii is expensive. Honolulu, Hawaii has some crime and it is in debt. In the next few years, they're going to be running into some serious problems. Their real estate prices are already going down at a pretty good pace. Now, obviously, a lot of their financial difficulties trace back to the pandemic. Honolulu is a tourist town. They lost a lot of money during the pandemic. But as far as home prices go here, the average home value in Honolulu is $798,000. That's down 3.4% from last year, and it's predicted they'll drop another 3% at least in 2024. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.